The lights inside the New York studio burned hotter than usual, washing the stage in a glossy TV glow that made everything feel exaggerated, theatrical. Exactly the environment Stephen Colbert thrived in. His studio audience was warmed up, caffeinated, and ready to laugh at whatever he tossed their way. That's what they came for, jokes shaped in Colbert's trademark smirk that told them who they should laugh at before he even delivered the punchline. Tonight, he thought that target would be easy. Backstage, Joel Osteen, the pastor, television preacher, and businessman, stood calmly, his hands clasped in front of him, eyes fixed on the monitor, showing Stephen Colbert's opening monologue. He watched Colbert prance across the stage, cue cards in hand, cracking jokes about Hollywood excesses, cynical politics, and the general state of spiritual malaise. The usual routine. But then Joel Osteen's name flashed onto the screen behind him. Colbert turned to the audience with exaggerated surprise. "Oh, look, America's most televised pastor," or as I like to call him. He paused, letting the anticipation build. "The man who brings a smile to the most dire situations, even network TV ratings." The audience erupted in laughter. Joel didn't flinch. He'd expected cheap shots. He didn't come to a late-night show to be treated fairly. He came because he wanted to share a message. He wanted people to see him in an environment designed to mock earnestness, and he planned to do the opposite by offering hope. Colbert continued, strutting theatrically. He gave a sermon last week about finding your best life now. Very cute, like a self-help guru trying to explain the divine after watching one motivational video. More laughter, more applause. Joel's serene expression remained unchanged, not out of indifference, but focus. He didn't fear ridicule. He'd been mocked by cynical commentators, celebrity atheists, social critics, and even fellow pastors. Every time, he centered, strengthened. Rose, a producer, approached him. "You're up in 3 minutes. Just a heads up, Stephen's going to poke you a bit. Standard stuff." Joel smiled, a genuinely calm, confident smile. "He can try." Out on stage, Stephen Colbert kept going, voice high, gestures dramatic, baiting the crowd. He said, and I quote, "You are an eagle, not a chicken, so soar." He held his chest in mock sincerity. "Ah, Pastor, that's inspiring. When you finally experience a real problem, maybe you'll give a real sermon." The audience howled. Joel stepped forward into the hallway as the stage manager called out, "Everyone clear the path. Joel Osteen to stage." The band struck a playful tune, the kind used when producers expect the guest to be flustered or thrown off balance. But as Joel approached the curtain, the studio air shifted slightly. People sensed it. Assistants slowed. Camera operators adjusted nervously. Even the audience, still laughing, felt a subtle rising tension. He paused behind the curtain for half a second. "Let them laugh," he thought, "because I'm about to show them the power of a different kind of truth." The announcer boomed. "Please welcome Joel Osteen." He stepped out, shoulders relaxed, head held high, a gentle smile on his face. The cheers were mixed, half applause, half sarcastic whoops from Colbert fans. Stephen Colbert turned toward him with that familiar mocking smile. Joel smiled back, calm, sincere, because Stephen didn't know it yet. But tonight, the audience wouldn't be just laughing at him. They'd be listening to something more. The applause softened into a curious hush as Joel crossed the stage, his steps unhurried, a graceful movement that didn't match the upbeat band music, trying desperately to set a comedic tone. He shook Stephen Colbert's hand, a warm, steady grip, while Colbert's was light, almost theatrical. "Joel Osteen, everyone," Stephen said, overplaying enthusiasm. "America's most positive pastor," which means he's also the first guest I've had who probably preaches forgiveness to parking meter attendants. Laughter. Joel didn't react. He simply clasped his hands calmly, posture serene, like he was about to address his congregation, not banter on a late-night stage. Stephen lifted an eyebrow at his stillness. No comeback, no prosperity gospel clapback. "Did your sermon writer forget to pack your platitudes?" Some chuckles bubbled up, but weaker now, unsure. Joel leaned into the mic, his voice calm and clear. "Stephen, I speak from the heart, guided by faith. I don't need a teleprompter telling me what to believe." Colbert smirked. "Oh, so you're saying I need a teleprompter?" Joel didn't blink. "Stephen, your monologue literally flashed on the screen behind you. We all saw it." The audience burst into startled laughter. Not forced laughter, not polite laughter, real laughter at his expense. Stephen Colbert's smile faltered for the first time. He regained composure quickly. Okay, touche. But tell me, Pastor, how does someone preach to millions about joy and abundance when the world is clearly, demonstrably, falling apart? Joel tilted his head, his gentle smile unwavering, yet with an underlying firmness. Pretend, he repeated. Stephen, I've stood before congregations in times of deep sorrow and great joy. I've counseled people facing impossible challenges and celebrated those finding their way. I've faced critics who try to twist every word I say, people who build their careers on cynicism and mockery. His eyes locked onto him. And now I'm sitting across from one. The audience exploded, half cheering, half gasping, all fully alive. Stephen Colbert blinked rapidly. Wow, okay, someone came in swinging tonight. Joel smiled. You started the questioning. I'm just offering a different perspective. More cheers. The energy in the room shifted. Palpable, undeniable, Peter. Even the band members exchanged glances like, oh, this is not going the way producers expected. Stephen Colbert cleared his throat. Well, let's talk about that sermon you gave. You know, the one the internet said sounded like it was written by an AI trying to be inspirational. Laughter returned, forced but present. Joel chuckled softly. Oh, I saw that tweet, Stephen. But then I read the comments underneath it. He paused, his gaze steady, and every single one said the same thing. Stephen Colbert didn't even listen to the full sermon. A wave of laughter hit harder this time, directed not at him but at Stephen. Colbert raised both hands, mock defensive. I watched it. It didn't sound convincing. Joel leaned forward, his voice low, sharp as a blade. Then why did you cut the part where I spoke about overcoming adversity? Or the part about finding strength in challenging times? Or the part where I quoted a scripture from the book of Philippians 4:13, a message of hope that resonates with many, including some in your audience? The crowd roared again. Cheers, whistles, applause. Stephen Colbert opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Joel settled back in his chair, composed, confident. Stephen, he said softly, I didn't come here to be a caricature. He locked eyes with him. And right now, I believe your audience is looking for something more than just laughs. The studio went wild, and for the first time in years, Stephen Colbert looked like a man who had finally realized he'd underestimated the power of sincere faith. The temperature in the studio shifted, subtle but unmistakable. Stephen Colbert's stage confidence, normally effortless and bulletproof, wavered like a weak signal. Joel felt it. The audience felt it. Even the camera operators who'd spent years watching him bury political guests exchanged looks like, is this really happening? Stephen Colbert tapped his pen against his note cards, pretending to search for his next punchline. So, he said, smirking thinly, you think you can walk onto my stage and fact-check me? Joel lifted his chin slightly. No, he replied gently. I think I can walk onto your stage and share a message of hope. That's different. The crowd let out another ooh, sharper this time, like a jab Stephen didn't see coming. He tried again. Well, honesty is cute until it becomes delusion. Your sermon was called feel-good theology by half the media. Joel didn't flinch. Half the media also called faith a crutch, he said calmly. Turns out for millions it's a foundation. Laughter and claps, not for him, for Joel. Stephen Colbert took a longer pause, his smile tightening. Joel continued before he could recover. You invited me on your show, expecting me to crumble because my message is simple. But Stephen, I didn't become a pastor reaching millions by accident. My message resonates because it speaks to a universal human need. A woman in the audience shouted, "Tell him!" Cheers followed. Stephen Colbert raised a hand, trying to reel the room back in. Okay, settle down. I know everyone loves a charismatic pastor. Joel cut in. They love hope, Stephen. They love truth. That's why they were responding. Stephen Colbert blinked. Joel leaned forward, elbows on his knees, voice low and steady. You mock my sermon, but at least I deliver it from conviction, not cue cards. Can you say the same about your monologues? Gasps, a few nervous laughs. Someone yelled, ouch! Stephen Colbert's face tightened this time visibly. That's rich, he replied, coming from someone who reads talking points all day. Joel didn't smile, didn't twitch, didn't take the bait. Stephen, when I preach, it's to touch hearts and offer guidance. When you perform, it's to entertain and critique. The audience murmured, mixed shock and growing excitement. Stephen Colbert adjusted his tie, suddenly restless. Well then let's perform a little more, he said. You claim you're a profound spiritual guide. Prove it. Give me one line, just one, from that legendary sermon that wasn't a recycled platitude. Joel's expression softened. His voice touched with steel. Here's one you cut from your cover, he said. Then he quoted himself. You are not defined by your past, but by the potential within you, put there by a loving God, even when the world tells you otherwise. The audience burst into applause, enough to shake the rafters. Stephen Colbert blinked twice. He opened his mouth to joke, but nothing came. Joel finished calmly, and judging by the reaction of your audience, a message of hope can always find its home. He exhaled a small, involuntary sound. The sound of a man realizing he just lost control of the narrative. The audience cheered again, this time even louder. Joel sat back, composed, victorious. Stephen Colbert shuffled his cards. For the first time in the episode, he didn't know where to go next. Stephen Colbert cleared his throat, shuffling his note cards the way a magician does when he's out of tricks. The energy in the studio, usually his weapon, was slipping through his fingers like sand. He glanced at the producer's booth. No help. They were frozen too, watching the shift unfold in real time. He forced a smile. So, Pastor, you've clearly come here ready to preach. Joel crossed his legs slowly, deliberately. Stephen, I came here ready to share. You turned it into a debate. A few audience members clapped, not ironically, not sarcastically, genuinely. Stephen Colbert's eyebrow twitched. He tried to regain the upper hand. Well, in fairness, this is a comedy show. I make jokes. That's kind of my job. Joel nodded. Right, but there's a difference between humor and hiding behind humor to avoid genuine engagement. A hush fell over the room. Everyone heard the implication. Everyone waited for his reaction. Stephen Colbert blinked, taken aback. That's a bold accusation. Joel held his gaze. I didn't come here to accuse you. I came here to speak my truth. And the truth is, you mock what you haven't taken the time to truly hear. The audience gasped quietly, but enough that Stephen flinched. He leaned forward, trying one last time to steer the conversation. Well, what is it I supposedly don't understand? Enlighten me. Joel inhaled slowly, his voice calm but unshakably firm. You don't understand the quiet faith of millions who find strength in their beliefs. You don't understand those who seek comfort and inspiration beyond the daily news cycle. You don't understand that your cynicism doesn't land on people who are actively trying to live a life of hope and purpose. A wave of applause rolled across the studio, heavy, warm, almost protective. Stephen Colbert tightened his jaw. And you're saying you understand all that? Joel didn't blink. Yes, because I've dedicated my life to it. Because the people you dismiss are the people who fill our churches. Because I wasn't raised to mock the world's problems. I was raised to offer solutions, rooted in faith. More applause, the kind that shakes a studio. Stephen Colbert forced a stiff smile. Well, that's sweet, Joel cut in, voice sharp as a knife. Sincerity isn't sweet, Stephen. It's powerful. Authenticity does. The audience erupted again. Laughter mixed with cheers, not laughter with Stephen, laughter at the situation. Stephen Colbert sat back, exhaling sharply. This was no longer an interview. It was a takeover. Joel leaned in, finishing the round with precision. You invited me here to be a target, Stephen, but the only target being hit right now is the assumption that people don't crave real conversation. The crowd broke into the loudest cheer yet, people clapping, whistling, even standing. Stephen Colbert looked out at them, genuinely rattled. He had lost the room. Joel, the pastor, television preacher, and businessman sat there like he was right where he was meant to be. The audience was buzzing now, leaning forward, whispering, waiting for whatever was going to come next. Joel felt it. He could practically feel the shift, like gravity had tilted in his direction. Even the stage lights seemed warmer on his side of the desk. Colbert exhaled, finally dropping the forced grin. Okay, he said, tapping his pen. You've made your point, but let's not pretend your sermons don't get dragged all over the internet for being, shall we say, a bit too shiny. Joel tilted his head. Dragged? Or selectively edited by those who prefer cynicism to substance, who wouldn't want viewers to hear the parts they couldn't easily mock? The crowd murmured. Someone shouted, "Show it!" Stephen Colbert froze. He hadn't expected that. Joel smiled, the kind of smile that meant he'd been waiting for that exact moment. Funny you say that, he replied, reaching into his blazer pocket. Because your team cut out the part where I spoke about overcoming personal struggles, or the part where I quoted a profound passage from the book of Romans, or the part where I talked about finding inner peace in a chaotic world. The parts that offer real guidance, not just platitudes. Then he held up his phone. I brought the full clip. The audience erupted into applause, cheered bouncing off the studio walls. Stephen Colbert blinked rapidly. You what? Joel stood, walking with purpose toward the giant studio screen behind them. I came prepared. I knew you'd mock the sermon. So let's show the audience what you didn't want them to hear. The room exploded, cheering, clapping, people standing up with their phones out. Stephen Colbert panicked. Wait, hold on. This isn't. Joel turned to him, his tone steady but merciless. Stephen, if you're confident in your critiques, let's see if they hold up against the unedited message. Gasps, whistles. The power dynamic had flipped completely. Even the producers hesitated, unsure what to do. Stephen Colbert raised a hand toward the booth, but the audience overpowered him. Play it, play it, play it! Joel stepped aside, his arms crossed, calm as a storm waiting to break. You invited me here, Stephen, he said softly. You just didn't expect me to bring the actual sermon. The chant grew louder. The lights brightened. Stephen Colbert's hand dropped to the desk, defeated. For the first time in his career, the audience wanted the guest message more than the host. And he knew the moment that video played, the night would belong to Joel's message. The studio lights dimmed just enough to signal something big was about to happen. The audience, already electrified, leaned so far forward it looked like the entire front row was about to fall out of their seats. Stephen Colbert swallowed hard, tapping his cue cards against the desk as if doing so would magically give him back control. It didn't. Joel stood confidently beside the massive screen, his phone still in his hand, waiting, calm, collected, almost serene like a pastor before a profound sermon. A producer in the booth finally broke. Roll it, he said over the headset, and suddenly the screen lit up. There he was, Joel Osteen, delivering the unedited version of his inspirational sermon, not the chopped, clipped, soundbite-friendly version Stephen Colbert had mocked, the real one. The audience fell into total silence. First came the scripture about overcoming fear, then the part about finding purpose, inspiring children, and building stronger communities. Then the moment he looked into the camera and said, your faith isn't a punchline, and your hope isn't a performance. A direct blow to everything Stephen Colbert's brand relied on. Stephen Colbert sat frozen, hands clasped, eyes narrowing, not in confidence, but in dread. The audience didn't laugh, they didn't whisper, they didn't even breathe loudly. They listened, and when the full clip ended, the room erupted into applause, louder than anything Stephen Colbert had received that night. Joel didn't turn around immediately. He let the crowd react, let the truth breathe. Then he faced Stephen Colbert. See, he said softly, but with a gentle firmness, you mocked a sermon you never fully presented. You dismissed words you never gave your audience a chance to truly absorb. The audience roared again. Cheers, whistles, even a few standing ovations. Stephen Colbert forced a laugh, thin and uncomfortable. Well, that certainly was something. Joel raised an eyebrow. That something was the truth, Stephen. He exhaled deeply, defeated, but trying to mask it with humor. You know, guests usually come here to have fun. Joel walked back toward her seat, his steps clicking in a slow, deliberate rhythm. I'm having plenty of fulfillment in it, he replied. You just didn't expect your audience to find inspiration too. The audience howled. Stephen Colbert sat back, fingers interlaced, gaze lowered. For the first time in nearly 2 decades of hosting, he wasn't the center of attention. Joel Osteen, the pastor, television preacher, and businessman, was. And everyone in the room knew they weren't watching a guest, they were watching a message transcend. The applause kept rolling long after the video ended. Stephen Colbert tried to speak twice, but the noise swallowed him whole. It was the kind of reaction every late-night host dreams of, except it wasn't for him, it was for Joel. Joel sat back down, hands clasped, calm as a pastor who had just delivered a powerful truth. The band members exchanged stunned glances. A producer mouthed, "Oh my God." Even the cameraman closest to Stephen shook his head like he'd just witnessed history. Stephen Colbert inhaled sharply. Well, that was certainly dramatic, he said, voice cracking just slightly. Joel smiled politely. You wanted a conversation. The audience finally got to hear the full message. A few people cheered again. Stephen Colbert shuffled his cards anxiously this time. Let's move on, he said. Your congregation might be loving this, Pastor, but my viewers come here for comedy, not sermons. Joel leaned in just enough to make the mic catch every word. Then maybe you should ask yourself why they just reacted stronger to a message of hope than to any joke tonight. The room erupted, laughs mixed with applause. Stephen Colbert looked genuinely rattled now, shoulders stiff, eyes down. The rhythm of the show, normally a fast, sharp dance, had become heavy, dragging under the weight of his own miscalculation. He tried one last jab. "Well, Pastor, I'm glad you enjoyed taking over my show." Joel didn't miss a beat. "Stephen, you invited me here. I just didn't fit the box you built for me." Another explosion of cheers. A woman shouted, "He uplifted us!" The audience laughed. Stephen Colbert swallowed visibly. "You certainly surprised me," he said. Joel softened his tone, not cruel but final. "Stephen, you can question my message all you want, but if you're going to critique my words, present them honestly. Your audience deserves at least that much." The audience applauded again, this time slower, deeper, more thoughtful. Joel had connected with them. Stephen had misjudged them, and everyone in the studio knew it. The second the cameras cut to commercial, the studio air changed. The applause still echoed faintly, but the tension behind the stage snapped tight like a stretched wire, ready to break. Stephen Colbert pulled off his earpiece, avoiding eye contact with everyone, including Joel. Producers rushed toward him, whispering fast, frantic things like, "What happened out there?" and "We've never seen the audience flip like that." Stephen Colbert brushed them off, jaw clenched, clearly furious, but trying not to explode on live mic. Joel stepped off the stage with calm, deliberate steps, his posture straight, his expression serene. Staff members he didn't even know whispered, "That was insane, Barry." And he didn't see that coming as he passed. He didn't gloat, he didn't boast, he just walked. A young intern jogged up beside him, breathless. "Pastor Osteen, just so you know, your full sermon clip is already blowing up online. Someone in the audience recorded the moment you played it." Joel raised an eyebrow. "Already?" The intern nodded quickly. "It has over 200,000 views in 10 minutes. Joel allowed himself a tiny smile, not out of ego, out of a quiet sense of purpose fulfilled. Meanwhile, across the hall, Stephen Colbert stormed into his dressing room, slamming the door so loudly the mirrors rattled. A producer followed him in, whisper yelling, "Stephen, this is all over X already. People are saying the pastor preached you on your own show." Stephen Colbert paced, running a hand through his hair. "They weren't supposed to cheer him," he snapped. "They're my audience." The producer hesitated. "Tonight, they weren't." Stephen Colbert froze just for a second before muttering, "He ambushed me. He planned that." But deep down, Stephen knew the truth. He underestimated the sincerity of Joel's message, and the audience responded to it. Back in the hallway, Joel checked his phone. Notifications poured in like a tidal wave. Journalists, influencers, and faith leaders and inspirational figures already calling the moment the Colbert rehearsal. A message from his ministry team flashed on the screen. "That was powerful, Pastor. Your message resonated. Global media attention assured." Joel simply nodded. He slid his phone into his pocket, straightened his blazer, and walked toward the exit. He came onto the show as a guest. He left as a testament to the power of his message. By the time Joel stepped into his black SUV, the internet was already on fire. X, Instagram, YouTube, every platform lit up like a switchboard. The clip of him confronting Stephen Colbert had exploded past 1.2 million views in under an hour. Hashtags like #OsteenInspires, Colbert had the full sermon, #Hope wins, and @Colbert rethinks dominated the trending page. Joel watched the numbers rise as his driver pulled into traffic. Comment after comment poured in. He walked onto his stage and enlightened it. Stephen underestimated the depth of faith. "I've never seen an audience turn like that." Even unexpected voices chimed in. A famous comedian tweeted, "Colbert invited a debate and got a sermon." Late-night fans, his own fan base, were split. Some defended him, but many admitted the truth. He didn't get flustered once. Stephen tried to mock him. Joel uplifted the moment. Joel refreshed again. An inspirational page posted a slowed-down clip of him saying, "Your faith isn't a punchline, and your hope isn't a performance," overlaid with uplifting music. It already had 500K likes. Meanwhile, Stephen Colbert's official account stayed silent. His team was clearly scrambling. Joel